Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm writing to Head versus Heart, How to Cultivate Bhakti in a Highly Logical Mind. Well, I look at Bhakti a little bit differently. My understanding of it is that it's the love for God or devotion to God. I, I change it to people. Devotion, devotion to love for people. But obviously it's not necessarily like undivided, I guess, or whatever. Essentially it's that I care for people, but if you're a terrible person, I don't care as much. So anyways, let's go to give this video a shot.
Long ago, in my late 20s, I faced a dilemma. I had long before rejected the Christian religion in which I was raised, and later, as an engineering student, I learned to embrace a completely materialistic worldview, a view based on science and reason alone. Yet, after I graduated and worked in sunny California for a few years, I began to feel that something was missing. My laid-back California lifestyle seemed shallow and insipid. It had no deeper meaning or higher purpose.
Excuse me, sorry. I will say this though, that's the thing that I think people have to create on their own. Deeper meaning or higher purpose. For me, it's just making people happy. And not like in the crazy sense. And what I mean by that is like, um, hmm, if I can do something, I'll try, but I have to be careful that I don't put myself in a situation. You want to help out those who are homeless and whatnot, but at the same time, they can be crazy and they could end up, so you have to be careful. At the same time, there are bad people who will pretend to be that to get money, and they're really not needing any help. They just do that to get money, easy money. Take advantage of good people in a lot of sense. And interestingly enough, though, in terms of what said Guru, let's just say said Guru for now. A deeper meaning and higher purpose. So you don't need a deeper meaning or a higher purpose, not necessarily. You just live life, like Sadhguru would say. You don't need a purpose. You don't need meaning in life besides life itself, or the purpose. The higher purpose is life itself. You could say either there's no you don't need a higher purpose or deeper meaning. You don't need none of that. You just need life. Or you could say the deeper meaning is life and the higher purpose is life. It's a lot of sense. It could be interchangeable. But deeper meaning and higher purpose tend to have a slightly different definition than just life. So again, it's up to you on what you want to do with this. This is your life. You can be content with whatever it is that you're doing, which clearly Swami here was not. He's saying it's missing something missing in his life. And again, Advaita Vedanta is supposedly, you have introspect that you become content or bliss in life without wanting or needing anything. So without the want or need, you don't need a deeper meaning, or you don't want a deeper meaning, and you don't need a higher purpose, or you don't want a higher purpose because you're content in life. That doesn't mean you can't get a deeper meaning or a higher purpose, but you don't need it. I guess is perhaps the saying I'm trying to get. I'm not an Advaitin or whatever the whatever is said to be a person who perhaps knows more about it than I do. But you can have deeper meaning or higher purpose, but that cannot be the goal in life, or the, how do I say, the reason why the reason why you don't want to have this is because if you don't get the deeper meaning, you will suffer. If you don't get the higher purpose, you will suffer. And then that is definitely not in Advaita Vedanta's teachings. You can have a deeper meaning and have a higher purpose, but you, in a sense, in how I translate it or how I understand it, is that not to suffer from it. Suffering is the thing that you're trying to get rid of, in a sense. So if a deeper meaning means you suffer because you don't get it, then it's not good to have it. But you can, like my perspective, have a deeper meaning, and even if you don't get it, you don't suffer from it.
I began to yearn for spiritual growth, and before long, I discovered the wisdom of the great rishis, the sages of ancient India, the teachings we now know as Advaita Vedanta. But I felt conflicted because Vedanta's spiritual teachings are part of a vast Hindu tradition, a tradition that embraces many religious practices like devotional prayer and ritualistic worship. I was not at all inclined towards those practices, but at the same time, I was strongly attracted to Advaita Vedanta. I struggled because I couldn't reconcile Vedanta's brilliant non-dual teachings with its frequent references to Ishvara, a supreme being who creates, sustains, and destroys the universe again and again. To me, Vedanta's non-dual teachings seemed highly logical, whereas its teachings about Ishvara reminded me of the faith-based religion I had rejected so long ago.
I'm probably in the same boat as that. Like, when they talk about Shiva, Ishvara, Rama, maybe like Sri Ramakrishna as well, because it seems like, again, and from my perspective, I'm sure I'm wrong, but I don't know. Maybe some people do. They idolize him to a deity's standpoint, worship him in such a way that it seems like it's a deity, and and that's kind of like a turnoff for me because again, I don't follow any religion. I used to be actually. Um, I didn't really know, and I wasn't really forced into it. It's just that it was something that my family did, and I just so happened to run into and believed in. So it's kind of a bit weird, I'll say. So the same boat as him in terms of like noticing these things and are like it's not supposed to be faith based, or at least the very least the deity.
Then, in 1981, I attended some lectures on Advaita Vedanta by Swami Dayananda, who would later become my guru. I was stunned when he said that Ishvara is not a matter of faith, but rather Ishvara is a reality to be understood. He explained how the existence of the universe depends on two fundamental factors or causes. First, a material cause, an underlying reality or substratum that gives existence to everything. Like the existence of this pot depends on clay, the existence of the universe depends on an underlying substratum.
And this is how I kind of try to understand Ishvara. Well, not necessarily Ishvara, but Brahman. Actually, that one more specifically. Brahman. Again, I don't know if they're the same or different. Right now, I would assume they're different. Only because otherwise, why not just say Brahman, or why not just say Ishvara as opposed to Brahman, or why not say Brahman as opposed to Ishvara? But the way I look at Brahman is that it's essentially existence. Like so it's like when you say Brahman and existence, they're interchangeable. They're the exact same thing. So to say this this Brahman's in reality or exist in reality. Brahmins in reality. Exists in reality. It's interchangeable. That way, it's Brahman. It's not some form of deity, but something to say that it's essentially everything's made out of it. It must have it to exist. If it exists, it is it. Kind of hard phrasing to say that. There only is Brahman, kind of deal. But try to do it in a materialistic sense that, without existence, it cannot exist. Without Brahman, it cannot exist. Kind of like that. That's why I look at it as interchangeable at the moment. This is the best definition I can come up with. And it's not it's like, hey, Bob, it's like, Bob, the creator of the universe. It's not like that. It's not a deity.
But that substratum is not a physical material like clay. Rather, it's the precursor to all material substances. That substratum is pure being, without form or function, existence itself. In addition to a material cause, a second fundamental factor is required for the existence of the universe, an intelligent cause. The existence of this pot depends not only on clay, but it also requires a pot maker, someone who has the skill and intelligence necessary to make a pot. In the same way, the existence of the universe depends not only on an underlying reality, but it also requires intelligence.
It's really weird to say intelligence. I don't know. I wouldn't say it that way as far as I understand it. I'd say like rules. But I don't know if that's right either. He is the Swami here, so he is 100% probably more right than I am. He is definitely 100% more right. I'm just wondering if is that the correct word to use. To say an intelligent would require being. That's the reason why I struggle with that word. But to say rules, well, there's the rules of nature, which is not not a human being create, or not a being that creates. It's laws of nature, kind of like that. So, universe depends not only on the underlying reality, but also follows laws. Meaning that when things happen, it follows this laws that exists in the universe. That is not created by men, women, children, old people, animals, planets, or anything like it. It's something that that defines the creation, I guess you could say. Now, again, I don't know if that's the way I like to look at that intelligence, because intelligence, again, just always refers to something alive, something that's alive, essentially, and that created the like, this is the laws that you have to follow, kind of deal.
Vast intelligence, an intelligence that endows sheer formless existence with form and function.
That's the reason why I say rules or laws, like laws of nature. We don't create it. It's something that you can observe, something that you can see happen, but it's not written down, kind of deal. So that's the reason why I don't know if intelligence is the right word. Maybe it is. I'm just missing something. But maybe there are interchangeable. It's just that they prefer to use the word intelligence to it, and Sadhguru does use that too.
An intelligence that turns chaos into order and beauty. An intelligence that enables the laws of nature to govern the universe.
Well, there you go. He says laws of nature right there.
Now, in the example of a pot, its material cause, clay, and its intelligent cause, the pot maker, are completely separate. But, according to the ancient rishis, the underlying substratum of the universe and the intelligence that endows it with form and function are not two different things. The material cause and the intelligent cause are one and the same, a single, intelligent, fundamental reality, a reality that's called Ishvara. We can't elaborate on this important topic right here, but it's discussed at length in my video, Finding God Without Faith. You'll find a link below. My dilemma, due to Vedanta's intermingling of non-dual truth with teachings about Ishvara, was finally resolved when I realized that Ishvara is not at all like the God of Western religions, like Yahweh, the biblical lawgiver and protector of his chosen people, or like Jesus, the Savior of Christians, or like Allah, the Almighty and All-Merciful. It seems unreasonable that the infinitely powerful source of the universe should have a particular form, a form especially associated with Middle Eastern culture, or for that matter, a form associated with Hindu culture, like Vishnu, Shiva, or Krishna. Ishvara as such is not like a human being with arms and legs and a cultural background. The source of all forms must itself be beyond forms, that is, formless. The source of the laws of nature must not be subject to those laws, like human beings are. Ishvara, as understood by the ancient rishis, is transcendent, beyond form, beyond time and space, beyond our imagination. Not surprisingly, many people find this lofty idea really difficult to grasp. That's why the rishis envisioned Ishvara in a variety of forms, such as Vishnu, Shiva, and Krishna, and many others. Worshipping one God in many forms is a unique feature of Hinduism, a doctrine based on a verse found in the most ancient of scriptures, the Rig Veda, that says, Ekam Sat, God is one. Vipra Bahudha Vadanti, which the wise describe in many ways. Okay, let's move on now. Since Vedanta describes Ishvara as a reality to be understood, it opens a door, in a manner of speaking, by showing how prayer and worship of all kinds can be practiced without resorting to blind faith. For a hard-headed skeptic like me, that particular teaching was crucial. Yet, even though my rational mind was opened to Ishvara, my emotions remained firmly closed. In spite of Vedanta's powerful teachings, no feelings of devotion or reverence for Ishvara arose in my heart. Why not? Well, Bhakti is not based on mere intellectual understanding. It's based on a personal relationship with Ishvara. For many people, that relationship was formed in childhood, being fostered by their parents, by going to temples, by attending religious celebrations, and so on. For such children, their relationship with Ishvara grows even stronger when it's later supported by religious and spiritual teachings. But for others who were raised in non-religious families, or for those who rejected the religion of their childhood, as I did, a relationship with Ishvara must be cultivated somehow. An extra effort is required, like some students require certain remedial studies to catch up with their peers. How a personal relationship with Ishvara can be cultivated is our next topic. As we saw, even though Advaita Vedanta provides a rational basis for prayer and worship, its teachings don't automatically give rise to bhakti, to feelings of devotion and reverence. After all, it's hard to have an emotional relationship with a formless, all-powerful being that's the substratum of the universe and the source of its intelligent order. An intellectual understanding of Ishvara like that is a helpful starting point. But the cultivation of bhakti itself is a distinctly emotional process, not an intellectual one. For many people, a huge gap exists between intellect and emotion, between knowing and feeling, between head and heart.
And that's pretty much me. I have to separate them, I guess. I have to. But I understand both. So you don't, just because they're separate doesn't mean that you don't feel both or see both. It's just that you analyze them differently. One logical and one emotional. And you don't want to have your emotions to cloud your logical judgment. But you don't want to ignore your emotions either, because they can be helpful.
One reason for this gap is that your intellect can grasp a new idea in just a moment, whereas your emotions often respond much more slowly. For example, when a close family member who has been struggling with an agonizing problem seeks your support, you might quickly understand the situation and suggest a possible solution. In that case, you might initially fail to recognize the person's deep sadness, hurt, and frustration. And it's quite possible that he or she has specifically sought you out for emotional support, not for the sake of a solution to the problem.
Oh no. You come to me with problems, I want to fix it. I can't fix your emotions. I get what he's saying though. It's kind of funny though, he pointed that out.
Emotional blind spots like that are quite common. They demonstrate that intellectual understanding is comparatively easy, whereas dealing with complicated emotions is much harder.
I wouldn't say it's harder per se. It's just that like you said, emotions are slow. You can fix a problem right away, but it takes a while for emotions to fix themselves. And when you fix the problem, you want to move on to the next thing, but emotions take time to heal. I guess maybe that's the reason why.
Of course, you can learn how to overcome your emotional blind spots. And there's plenty of instructional videos here on YouTube to help you do that. In a similar way, there are plenty of devotional practices to help you cultivate bhakti. Instead of simply describing those practices for you right here, let me set the context first with a powerful example. In India and elsewhere, many marriages are arranged by parents who seek out a suitable match for their sons and daughters. In those marriages, the bride and groom might have met only once or twice before the wedding, and they might not even know each other very well. After 3 days of elaborate ceremonies, They will certainly understand that they're now husband and wife, but they might not feel like husband and wife yet. They're not likely to feel deep emotions of love or closeness at first. In fact, they might even feel a bit awkward or shy. But as they come to know each other better and better, feelings of love and closeness will gradually develop. Here's the point of the example. After gaining an intellectual appreciation of Ishvara through the teachings of Vedanta, you might not feel emotions of devotion or reverence at first. But as you come to know Ishvara better and better, those emotions can gradually develop. For example, as you come to understand Ishvara as having blessed you with life, with a capable body and powerful mind, and with a world of opportunities to explore and enjoy, then feelings of reverence and devotion will begin to emerge. And each time you reflect on Ishvara's role in your life, your feelings will grow even stronger. Yet, it takes time for emotions to grow strong, as it does for newlyweds whose marriages were arranged. But this example we're using has a big problem. After getting married, the bride and groom usually live with each other and interact every day. Sharing their lives like that, they will come to know their respective likes and dislikes, their individual hopes and dreams, and their unique personality traits. As they come to know each other better and better, their feelings of love and closeness will grow strong. On the other hand, it's not possible to physically live and interact with Ishvara in the same way. Fortunately, many devotional practices are described in various scriptures that can help you develop bhakti in spite of Ishvara's apparent physical absence. To explore those practices, let's change the example a bit. Suppose the bride is from India and the groom is from the U.S. After getting married, he returns to his job in America, while she continues to live in India, while her application for a visa to join her husband in the U.S. is being processed. Nowadays, the time required to get such a visa is more than a year. When the newly married husband and wife will be separated for such a long time, how can they remain emotionally connected and develop their relationship? Well, suppose the bride has a picture of her husband on the dresser next to her bed. Each time she sees the picture, she's likely to feel more emotionally connected to him. And she might glance at the picture many times each day, with a cumulative effect. In a similar way, if you go to a temple regularly and stand in front of the consecrated deities on the altar, you are likely to feel more connected to Ishvara. And if you happen to have an altar in your home, you will probably benefit even more.
I guess the problem with that example for me is the sheer fact that you have met each other in person. It's not like I guess the better example probably would be it's a really weird example, but let's just do it. So you're going to like a book, you're like, I'll marry her. That's one. It's like, all right, signed the paperwork. It's okay, you're officially married. And now all you could do is just look at her picture, can't talk to her, can't see her, can't FaceTime or video or call or text. That's what it's more of an example, but I get what he's trying to say, but I think my example's a little bit more accurate.
Now, suppose the husband visits his wife's relatives who also live in the U.S. They might entertain him with delightful stories about his wife when she was a girl growing up in India. In a similar way, if you attend religious discourses on scriptures like the Bhagavatam, Ramayana, or Mahabharata, you will hear many delightful stories about incarnations of Ishvara, like Krishna and Rama. You will also hear powerful accounts of great saints and devotees who were completely transformed by their devotional practices. The strong emotions evoked by such stories can further strengthen your relationship with Ishvara. While the husband and wife are living far apart, they're likely to exchange emails and text messages quite frequently. They might describe the particular problems they face and other details about their day-to-day lives. This kind of communication suggests how you can emotionally connect to Ishvara through prayer. Not by reciting memorized verses, but by opening your heart to Ishvara by describing the problems you face each day, and by seeking blessings to help you cope with those problems more gracefully. For the husband and wife living on different continents, having a video chat on a phone or computer is the next best thing to meeting in person. Metaphorically speaking, you can both see and hear Ishvara not by using technology, but in nature. Suppose you go for a walk in a beautiful place to appreciate the amazing beauty of Ishvara's creation. As you understand from the teachings of Vedanta, the natural world is itself a manifestation of Ishvara. Sometimes it's described as being Ishvara's physical body. The sun and moon are his eyes. The blue sky is his skin. The wind is his breath. And the sounds of chirping birds and rustling leaves is his voice. This kind of contemplation can dramatically strengthen your emotional connection to Ishvara. Of course, for the husband and wife living so far apart, nothing is better than physically getting together. The husband will certainly travel to India and visit his wife. Obviously, you can't visit Ishvara in some kind of heavenly abode, but you certainly can visit Ishvara through the practice of meditation. The Bhagavad Gita and other scriptures say that Ishvara dwells within you as Atma, the so-called inner divinity that's your true self. So to visit Ishvara, you really don't have to go anywhere at all. You can simply close your eyes and meditate. When your meditation practice becomes strong enough to completely quiet your mind, you will find yourself in Ishvara's sacred presence. You can use any or all of the practices we've just discussed to develop a deep personal relationship with Ishvara and to cultivate strong feelings of devotion and reverence. Also, thanks to the internet, you can now visit holy temples in India or listen to religious discourses and attend classes on Vedanta, all from the comfort of your own home. With so many resources available, you can certainly find powerful practices to incorporate into your day-to-day life. Okay, let's finish the story. After waiting for more than a year, the wife's visa finally gets approved, and she eagerly moves to her husband's home in the U.S., where they live together happily ever after, as people like to say. Assuming that they're both emotionally mature and committed to resolving all the problems that inevitably arise in marriage, they might indeed live in a state of wedded bliss. In this example, that state of wedded bliss represents enlightenment. Suppose you personally discover Ishvara's presence within you as your true self, Atma. Suppose you fully assimilate that realization, radically transforming the way that you think about yourself and the world around you. As a result, you will never again feel like an isolated, limited, individual being, constantly struggling to overcome one problem after another. Instead, you will feel perfect peace and contentment in spite of all those problems, because of always feeling intimately connected to Ishvara.
Okay, so I get most of it, especially the part of existence itself. But still, it's kind of difficult for me. But again, I'm not going to worry about it, because if I do, I do. I don't, I don't. I get it. I understand it. Um, but it just seems too much like a little bit too much like religion, a bit. Again, that's the reason why I like to look at it in terms of existence itself. I don't know if it's Ishvara. I know Brahman. Don't know if they're the same or different. Let me know in the comments. But anyways, I tend to look at Bhakti as more of a devotion or love for the people. Maybe nature, maybe things, but it can change based on the person, of course. I'm not going to hate anyone, but, it doesn't start off that way. You can do things to change my mind on that one, for sure. But anyways, it's my reaction to head versus heart. How to cultivate Bhakti in a highly logical mind. If you like my content, please consider subscribing. Thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.